So if you're about to start missing payments because your cards are already maxed out, or if you feel like your debt is so big, there's just no way you can catch up, I really want you to hear me in this video. I do not believe you need extra money to start getting out of credit card debt. I really believe you need a new system for how your money moves. Most pay off debt videos talk to people who have light balances, extra cash flow, a cute little $600 card that's hurting their feelings. This is not that video. This is for you if you have truly maxed out your actual credit cards and you have no extra money left after bills are already then expensed or you're literally just making minimum payments and watching the balance barely move. If that's you, I'm going to show you a method that can help you. I want you to start dropping your balance month after month. And this is going to allow you to slowly break out of the hamster wheel and do it without needing more income. Though extra income will, of course, speed this up like crazy. And I'm Brittney Calloway, and each week I drop new insights around credit, business, and finance because my job is to help you turn credit into capital and capital into financial freedom. So before we get into the math, I made this super simple for you because I've already taught you how do you actually pay on the statement dates, how to actually make sure you know what utilization is and the fundamentals to keeping it low, and of course how to time payments for your score boost. But almost all of that advice assumes you're not actually drowning in credit card debt. Because what about the people who have a $10,000 card, but it's maxed out? And they only have $4,000 a month in income, and they still have $4,000 a month in expenses like rent, grocery, gas, just kids, life, right? And at the end of the month, you really have zero cash flow. You're not dumb, you're not even lazy. You're just stuck in a system that was designed to keep you paying forever. So today is not a cute credit score hack. Today is a rescue mission. We're going to use a concept that's been around a very long time. Some people call it velocity banking. I call it turn your card into a payoff engine. So the idea behind this is instead of slowly leaking little minimum payments to the cards, you use your entire paycheck as a weapon. You push the money through the card first, then you live off the card while the balance creeps down each month. This method, as I'm going to explain in detail, it requires discipline. It also is going to require some lifestyle tightening during this period and a willingness to let your credit card become your primary spending tool. But if you truly stick with it and you are consistent, you can pay off a huge balance with the same income you have right now. So let me go ahead and just break it down to you how to do this. We're going to use this model. If your income is $4,000 per month and your total expenses is $4,000 per month, that can include rent, mortgage, utilities, food, gas, etc. And let's say you just have a car balance that is already at $10,000 and the car limit is $10,000, so you're completely maxed. You got to know your interest rates are probably going to be at 30%. And we have to, I'm going to make that ugly on purpose, but we have to keep that in mind. And if your minimum payment is 4% of the balance, that's like $400 a month that you have to be paying. So right now, your life probably looks like this. Your paycheck hits the bank, you pay rent, bills, gas, groceries, you make your $400 minimum payment on the card, you end the month with zero left, and that balance just keeps barely moving. So if this feels familiar, right, stay with me. The first move you're going to do is when your paycheck hits, I want you to pull out the money for anything that cannot be paid with a credit card. So like the rent, mortgage, maybe your car note if they don't let you, certain utilities if they're kind of weird about car payments. Because in our example, if your rent, mortgage is $2,000, that leaves $2,000 that could be spent on a card for food, gas, many bills, right? So we move that $2,000 rent into a separate bank account, leave it untouched. The remaining $2,000 is our weapon to attack the card. Now, here's where it gets uncomfortable and powerful. With that remaining $2,000, you take every single dollar and pay it onto the card. Yes, all of it. Why? This does two things. It satisfies your $400 minimum payment. It's also going to drop your balance from $10,000 to $8,000, which is a huge jump. So on paper, you've just created $2,000 of space on that card. And this is why it's so important. You want to make this big payment as close to the statement closing date as possible, not the due date. So that way that $8,000 is what gets reported to the credit bureaus, not the $10,000. That means your utilization just dropped from 100% to 80%. And your score is usually going to respond to this. Now, you might be thinking, but wait, if I put all the $2,000 onto the card, how am I going to live? All right, that's the next step. So remember, you still have $2,000 sitting aside for rent or mortgage. That expense is covered. Now, for the rest of the month, you live off the credit card. You can use it for food, for gas, other bills that accept actual cards. Let's say all of that even adds up to about $1,600. So then what happens? You started at the month with $10,000. You dropped it to $8,000 with that all-in payment. You then spent $1,600 on necessities throughout the month. So your end of the month balance is now $8,000 plus $1,600. That's $9,600. So you just knocked off $400 off the balance without adding any new income. And remember that $2,000 payment already counted as your minimum. So you're in the clear on that too, because you're current on your payments, you're reducing the balance slowly, and it's teaching the system that you're not 100% maxed out anymore. So let's talk about the APR elephant in the room, right, when it comes to this. 30% interest on a $10,000 card is roughly about $240 a month in interest at the beginning. Now, people will use that as an excuse and say, well, if the interest is $240 a month, this will never work. But here's the truth. You can literally make $240 a month doing anything, right? So I do want you to think of some ways where we are pulling in this extra cash, some even like little side hustles, which I have a list of what you could do below. For a few marketplace flips, right? Any freelance gigs, because we do want to see if we have this 240, because that's why people will say this is the reason it's never going to work. And that method isn't the real issue. It's a mindset, right? An effort issue. So as your balance is dropping, that $240 interest is shrinking. Why? Because interest is calculated on your average daily balance. So the lower your balance is, the less principal to apply to the 30% to. So this is a massive hack. And yes, interest does hurt. But with this system every month, you're literally dropping the principal, you're reducing the actual interest bill, and you're creating more and more breathing room every single month by doing this. So now that you actually understand how month 1 and month 2 is kind of the same dance, starting balance, right, $9,600. You put now your rent, mortgage payment, $2,000 to the side. You have a remaining $2,000 to throw it all on the card near the statement date. And now we know that by doing that near the statement date, it's going to have a new reporting balance. But if you do that now at $9,600 minus the $200, now we're down to $7,600. And you can live off the card again for the $1,600 in necessities. At the end of the month balance, your $7,600 plus the $1,600 equals $9,200. So you just dropped another $400. Do this month after month. So looking at it, month 1, $10,000 was now down to $9,600, $9,600 to now $9,200, and look, $9,200 to $8,800. So by month 6, you're already down in the mid $7,000 range. Now let's address this clearly. Is it realistic for everyone to run with all extra money going to the card or having no savings in the bank at all? For most people, I understand that. No, it's not always possible. So I want you to do this the right way. I want you to use this method as an ideal model, then really adjust it for your reality. Because that might look like instead of pushing the full $2,000 to the card, you push $1,500. Keep $500 cash in the bank as an emergency buffer, right? The math will be a bit slower, but the math still does work. So I want you to really make sure that you are eating the meat and spitting out the bones when it comes to this. So take the strategy, adjust the numbers, and make it livable to you and realistic for your situation. Because here's where this gets powerful. Psychologically, when you started, you had a balance of $10,000 and a limit of $10,000. And that is very overwhelming and doesn't give you any breathing room on the card. By month 6, in our rough example, the balance is now $7,600. So as you can see, you're chipping away at the actual debt. and you still have a limit of $10,000. Because now you have $2,400 of available cash, which also means available credit, right? And that available credit is not free money to go wild with, but that is your emergency buffer. It's kind of stored on your credit card. And it also is increasing your credit score as your utilization on a maxed out card previously is now dropping. So again, if an emergency does come up, tire blows out, your daughter needs a new prom dress, you had to travel for family emergency, whatever it is, you can use that card now when life hits and then go back on the payoff plan. This is why we front load the rent, mortgage, and cash, because almost everything else can be solved with a card swipe. And here's one of the most important mindset shifts in this method. You become a card first spender, not a cash and card spender. Why is this important? Because the danger is you spend out of your bank account and you're also swiping the card. So that's how you ended up overextending in both places and got maxed out in the first place. And you didn't even have enough to put in the bank to now go ahead and make that bigger payment. That's why the strategy is important, because you're monitoring your bank account and the credit card spend hand in hand in tandem. So in this strategy, your cash is coming in, you're protecting the main big bills, rent, mortgage, insurance, and you fire the rest at the card. And then you live off the card for the month. This is going to build a stronger sense of awareness and relationship with your card issuer, a single real clear place to track all your spending so it's not too wishy-washy and forgetting, and a pathway where the balance is actually going to go down over time and not up. Now, in this example from your original script, after about 18 months of this pattern, the balance drops below 30% utilization. On a $10,000 limit, 30% is now $3,000. So when you get the balance down near that line, a big opportunity opens up. You can start hunting for 0% balance transfer cards, because now the utilization is lower. Your profile looks less stressed. You're more likely to get approved for a good balance transfer offer. So now we can transfer the remaining balance, let's just say it was at $2,800, to a 0% promotion card for 12 months, even 18 sometimes. And we're keeping using the same discipline. Now every dollar you pay now goes straight to the principal and not the interest. That's how you compress this timeline and make this feel less endless. If you're not sure how to do this, go ahead and book a call with my team below so we can also walk you through how to do it. So I really want you to be following this method. Even with ugly interest and with a few adjustments for your reality, you're truly looking at roughly 24, even 28 months to wipe out a $10,000 balance if you stay disciplined. Faster if you add side income. Even faster if you move to a 0% balance transfer partway through. And even faster if you cut optimal spending and we are making sure that we are only spending on necessities while you're in this debt attack season. Then after that, all the money that used to be swallowed by the card is now becoming real cash flow. So you're really going from survival to stability to now real strategy. And your future funding approvals are going to look completely different. So you do not have to wait until you make more money to start taking control. You can start with the exact same income, the exact same expenses, and a new way your money flows through your accounts. You're really turning your income into a weapon, not just rent and vibes, right? And once you prove to yourself that you can make consistent payments, reduce the balance every single month, and survive off the card while keeping it under control, you'll never look at credit cards the same way again. Now that you understand how to attack a maxed out card, your next move is learning how to negotiate with the bank, how to lower the actual interest rates, understanding balance transfer offers, and converting painful debt into 0% or low interest plays. That's what I show you in my next video, which is how to understand your credit card bill from top to bottom and to read the fine print so you never get duped again. See you there.